It is obvious that one of the major problems we have to face is unemployment. It is a terrific human problem which we cannot ignore. Merely giving some kind of occupation to a large number of persons does not ultimately increase employment or lessen unemployment. We delude ourselves if we think so. An honorable member of this house remarked outside the house, I believe that a good method of giving employment to a large number of people would be by abolishing the railways. In that event, there will probably be some kind of hand carts. If many people will be pushing them, some no doubt will be sitting in them. That would be a completely wrong approach to this problem. Employment comes through newer and more effective means of wealth production. The whole experience of the past 200 years shows that it comes with the growth of technological methods. It is true that technological growth often leads to human misery, but precautions can be taken. Do not imagine that minus technological progress, we are going to deal with the problem of unemployment. We cannot. Every country which boasts of full employment today is a country which is technologically advanced. Every country which is not technologically advanced has unemployment or underemployment. Therefore, if India is to advance, India must advance in science and technology, and India must use the latest techniques, always keeping in view, no doubt, that in doing so, the intervening period which always occurs must not cause unhappiness or misery. We have to provide for that even at the cost of progress, because that is no progress which brings suffering and misery in its train. Now we have been planning more or less methodically for the last 7 years or so. As we have tried to plan, we have, if I may say so, with all respect, grown a little more expert in planning. We are getting more educated in this process. We have had the advantage of discussing these matters with many experts in India and elsewhere, realizing that the problems will have to be solved by us, not by the experts. But the experts throw light on different aspects of the problems and make us think, and they point out our mistakes. So gradually, through painful process of thought, we have proceeded along this path of planning. We want to pursue it further. Even people who do not believe in planning, they are becoming fewer and fewer. People who believe in what is called free enterprise are gradually realizing the limitations of free enterprise. In a country like India, situated as we are, there can be no free enterprise in the absolute sense. In our circumstances, I am quite certain that with an unplanned free enterprise approach, we cannot make any progress at all. If there is any progress, it will be lopsided. We can put up factories here and there, but it will result only in riches here and greater poverty there. That is not what India aims at. Further, the total wealth production of the country will not be as great as through planned effort. That is a patent fact requiring no proof. The essence of planning is to find the best way to utilize all resources of manpower, of money, and so on, and the essence of free enterprise is to leave these things more or less to chance. Well, if chance is a more satisfactory way of dealing with the problems of life than carefully thought out methods, then of course there need be no planning at all. It means trusting to luck. It is the old idea of fate. This is no good. All over the world, the idea of planning is being appreciated more and more. For an underdeveloped country, particularly, planning is essential. It may not be necessary in developing countries. They can perhaps do without it. But there is no other way but planning for an underdeveloped country like ours. Again, India is part of a region, South Asia, or a good part of Asia, which is more or less underdeveloped. As a matter of fact, even the progress and development of India necessitates the development of the countries around India. I do not mean to say that we cannot develop unless those countries also develop or that we should interfere with them. My point is that it is in our interest that other countries also develop. To think that the development of other countries comes in our ways is true only in a colonial pattern of society where we want to buy cheap raw materials from a country under our influence and impose our goods in a protected market. That does not apply to free countries. It is in our interest politically and economically that other countries in Asia and Africa should also develop. We cannot unfortunately help them much because our resources are limited, but tried our fast to help them in their development program. I take your leave, sir, and the indulgence of the House to refer to certain incidents which took place in this House as well as the other House in the course of the last week and which somewhat disturbed the normal serenity of the work of Parliament. Unfortunately, I was not here then, but since my return, I have endeavored to acquaint myself fully with what happened in both the Houses of Parliament. Under our Constitution, Parliament consists of our two houses, each functioning in the allotted sphere laid down in that Constitution. We derive authority from that Constitution. Sometimes we refer back to the practice and conventions prevailing in the Houses of Parliament of the United Kingdom and even refer earnestly to an upper house and a lower house. I do not think that is correct, nor is it helpful always to refer back to the procedure of the British Parliament, which has grown up in the course of several hundred years and as a result of conflicts originally with the authority of the King and later between the Commons and the Lords. We have no such history behind us, though in making our Constitution we have profited by the experience of others. Our guide must therefore be our own Constitution, which has clearly specified the functions of the House of the People and the Council of States. To call either of these House and upper house or a lower house is not correct. Each house has fully authority to regulate its own procedure within the limits of the Constitution. Neither house by itself constitutes Parliament. It is the two houses together that make the Parliament. It is the two houses together that make the Parliament of India. The successful working of our Constitution, as of any democratic structure, demands the closest cooperation between the two houses. They are in fact parts of the same structure, and any lack of that spirit of cooperation and accommodation would lead to difficulties and come in the way of the proper functioning of our Constitution. It is therefore particularly to be regretted that any sense of conflict should arise between the two houses. For those who are interested in the success of the great experiment in nation building that we have embarked upon, it is a paramount duty to bring about this close cooperation where each other. There can be no constitutional differences between the two houses, as the final authority is the Constitution. That Constitution treats the two houses equally except in certain financial matters which are to be the sole purview of the House of the People. In regard to what these are, the Speaker is the final authority. This position is perfectly clear and cannot be and has not been challenged at any stage. Unfortunately, some words were used by my colleague, the Law Minister, while speaking in the Council of States on April 29, which led to a misunderstanding. That misunderstanding could have been easily removed by a direct reference to him. This was not done, and the matter was raised in the House. Further misunderstandings then arose as between the two houses, and questions of privilege were raised, and it was stated that the dignity of this House had been affected. All of us are zealous of maintaining the dignity and authority of the House and of the Speaker who represents this House. Indeed, all of us are anxious to maintain the dignity and authority of both houses which constitute Parliament. My colleague, the law minister, is as anxious as any of us to maintain that dignity and authority, and it has been a matter of the greatest regret